If you'd like to hear the full episode or any of the scenario archives, be sure to subscribe and click the link in our bio. Also, like and follow the Scenario Radio Show on all of our social media platforms for more real talk with the playlist. Peace.
With us, we have Kia Jarmon, and as you see, when I led off, usually I introduce someone, and I like to introduce them and say, this is a person who does X, Y, and Z. But as B. Covey mentioned earlier, she's a jack of many trades, and so rather than try to me explain what it is she does, I wanted to be able to give her the chance to share with you who Kia Jarmon is. One of the descriptions that seems to be a popular one that I thought was really interesting was a kiss with a fist, which, depending upon where you are in life, can be sound dangerous or dangerous. You know what you're into.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that name was gifted to me, and I think in the first half of the segment, you got some of that, right? It is about candid care. It is my responsibility to make sure that I'm truthful at all times. That is sometimes the most uncomfortable thing for people to hear, is the truth. But that's what Kiss with the Fist really is about, how honest I can be with people. But I also want them to see humanity. The core of my work is crosses between history and humanity. So really upholding true, authentic history of who we are. That's why my year of review was about continued. We've been here before since the beginning of this country. And also about upholding humanity, in particular, Black humanity. And because very often we have not seen Black people or Black complexioned people with darker skin, we do not see us as valuable and valid, and we're not affirmed in this country and across the globe. So that's what Kiss with a Fist is. It's just honesty.
All right.
Okay. So what are some of the projects that you're working on right now? What are some of the things that you're excited about that you're working on with your agency?
Yeah, so I have a communications and community engagement company, and we work on high impact initiatives across nonprofit and government entities. And so we're finishing up a participatory budgeting process with the mayor's office and the community of Bordeaux, North Nashville. And that's really where the mayor allotted $2 million to the community, Bordeaux, North Nashville. And so the community is determining how they want to see that money spent. And so I'm working on that. I work with a really great organization called Gideon's Army. You probably can see behind me bags of things. We're providing some gifts to children in the 37208 zip code, which has been deemed the highest incarcerated zip code across the country. I work with, my background is in the music industry. And so though I don't work in the music industry anymore in terms of directly with artists, I now work with music companies to help them work on their diversity, inclusion, equity, anti-racism work. I'm working with a school right now, a school system right now on their anti-bias, anti-racist work. And so a lot of my work interacts with having people improve in some way through the work that we're doing. So lots of people, high impact opportunities that have to impact lots of people. So, justice and equity and all of that is really important to me. I also am a champion and advocate of Black philanthropy. And again, as one of my colleagues would say, our ancestors brought philanthropy, the act of making sure that people can get out of their situation, over with them from the continent of Africa during the transatlantic slave passage, or on that passage, when they got brought into this country forcefully. So we are not new to giving to others of our time, talent, treasure, truth, and testimony, like what you all are doing here on the show. So those are just a few projects I'm working on. There's more, but that's where I get started.
Wow.
What I've always wondered, just because, and personally, like I said, I know Kia and I know people, know the family, everybody has this spirit about them. But what was it that just led you to go on this path of just this, activism, wanting to empower people? What was it that kind of sparked that? Because just knowing you, it's, you know, just speaking to you for a moment, you get that.
I mean, I grew up in a household, and I think a lot of Black children do, where, you know, going to school, you're not going to get certain education. So the education I was receiving was at home, and so behind you see, or behind me, you see Rosa Parks. On my finger, you'll see Harriet Tubman. Those are mentors of mine. Those are people who really I try to champion their spirit. I often say I leave a pebble in the door for as many Black folks in particular as possible to come through. And so I believe that just started at home. I am a Girl Scout. So through and through, a lot of my leadership development comes from Girl Scouts. I'm a lifetime member. I started at 5 years old, and I'm an adult and still a Girl Scout. And I've done a great number of roles in that organization. That organization really helps you to understand the value of philanthropy and supporting and serving other people. And then just ancestrally, Black people are spiritual people. We understand how to uphold that spiritual connection we have. And so I lead a lot by what I'm feeling, what the ancestors are expressing to me, and what I'm supposed to live out. So I believe that's my ordination from God, is to, again, speak the truth and be honest with people. And it has naturally evolved into making sure people understand that justice and liberation is the only way that we're going to be, you know, who we can truly be in this country. So I'm going to keep fighting for that, because that is just, I don't believe we can really fully be of this country until we are seen as truly liberated.
Yeah.
I want to know also just the balance of everything for you, Kia. Like, I know you do a little bit of everything, teach, mom, but then you have, like, how do you just find this balance? Like, do you specifically say, okay, this day, this is what I'm doing? Or do you just go until you feel it? Do you go by feel? Or is there like a recipe to being able to balance all of this? Because once people, you know, we'll give you all of your Instagram, Twitter, all that. Once they follow you, they see you do all of this stuff. Like, do you sit down and say, all right, this day I'm doing this? Like, how do you just find the balance? Because I'm amazed by it, to be honest with you.
Oh, I appreciate that, cousin. I really do. So what I will say is, I don't believe in balance. I believe in boundaries. I have lots of boundaries. And I don't believe in balance because I taught a class about this once, and it was around this time, I used ornaments. And I had a woman come up and I said, tell me all the things in your life that you are responsible for. So I began to give her all of these ornaments. So she is now holding them, but now they're falling. So that's your husband, that's your kids. So balance is supposed to be equal distribution. You're never even, you're never equal. I can never be 100% a parent on some days, and I can never be 100% an entrepreneur and business owner. It's impossible. So I have extreme boundaries. I set, here's what's going to happen. I'm not going to be available the day of to meet for anything, as an example. So if you email me on today, I'm not available today. I'm probably available a week from now, because that's just got to be the boundary, so that I don't overpack myself with things. And again, this goes back to joy. This goes back to what I feel, as you mentioned, how I want to feel. I really believe we have to invest in pleasure. I talk about this often. Like, do you know what your body feels like when you experience what you love the most? Well, I want to experience that all the time, even if I'm working. So I can't experience that level of pleasure and joy when you are asking me to be on your timeline because you rushed. Not gonna do that. So those, but and what has happened is people have just learned how to operate within their own boundaries. I give people permission through my boundaries to create their own, because I believe that most people, Americans in particular, lack boundaries and lack understanding of other people's boundaries. So I'm gonna help you.
This is the Scenario Radio Show. Real talk with a playlist.
That's the